Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is Wander to the Edge. My name is Adam Asher from The Edge of Adventure.
I'm Zanne. I'm from Where Gals Wander. And if you're just joining Wander to the Edge for the first time, this is Friends Talking Travel, which we do every week. And you can join us here on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram.
And please do. And please comment and share and like and let people know that they can join and be a part of all this. Let us know how awesome we are. That helps to keep us going.
Yes. And speaking of awesome, we have an awesome guest like we do every week here on the show today. We have Alena from Impromptu Destinations, and she's going to talk with us a little bit about her worldwide travels, about her philosophy on life, the best way to think about your life and travel in terms of when to do what, and all sorts of interesting travel stories.
She does. She has a great story, both in terms of travel and her blog. But also just her personal story is inspiring. So we'll also get into that as we get to know Alena Christensen today, right here on
Wander to the Edge. Hi, Alena.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, it's so good to see you.
Thank you for having me.
Great to see you, Alena. It's going to be great to hear your story and get some advice on traveling in an impromptu manner. So on Instagram, you are Adventuring Alena, and then your blog is called impromptudestinations.com. And I'm going to start things off by just asking where this concept of impromptu destinations came from.
Yes, it's a really good question. When I was trying to name my blog, I was kind of tinkering with all the different names, and then I was trying to reflect on how do we truly pick our destinations, like either as a couple, with my husband, with the kids, with friends. And I realized it was always so spontaneous and just totally random. And with no agenda, no plan. If somebody says, let's go there in 2 weekends, I'm always going. You tell me to go somewhere, I'm on the plane. So it's always been so spontaneous and impromptu. So that's where the name came from.
So how do you make space in your life for that to happen, especially with a family, husband, kids, everything else that you have? Share with us your secret.
Yes, thanks for asking that. I think it's a very interesting question. Sometimes we spontaneously take a day off on Friday, make a long weekend, we try to tackle our travels to a long weekend like Labor Day, Memorial Day, President's Day. We subscribe to different travel subscriptions where you can see when the flights are cheap to go to a certain destination. So that's kind of we decide where to go spontaneously. Sometimes it does require a little bit more travel planning. So if we found a destination that we desperately want to go to as a family, because I am easily influenced on Instagram, then we obviously take off some time off work and plan it a couple months in advance. But usually it's very spontaneous and random. And fortunately, my husband and I work in a field where flexibility and life-work balance is encouraged. So,
Alena, you also mentioned kids. Do you travel with the kids sometimes, or do you always just want to get away from them?
It's a good mixture. I think 75% of the time we try to bring the kids along, especially now that they're getting older. So I have a 2.5-year-old and a 5-year-old. So the 5-year-old is easy. The 2.5-year-old can be a little bit challenging at times. So yeah, sometimes you want to just get away from them, to be honest with you, and just take a break and enjoy your husband and be a couple and have that romantic getaway. But then when you get to the destination, you're always like, oh, dang it, I wish my kids were here to do this and enjoy this and see this and try this food. So more and more we're trying to bring them along. So I think right now we're like 75% with the kids and 25% as a couple or with friends.
So what would be one place that you would recommend as a couple's getaway? And what would be one place you recommend for a family getaway?
Yes. So I'm just going to judge by kind of like my recent travel. So if you are adventurous and love hiking, active adventures, we recently went to Moab, and I would say that was my top 3 vacations I have ever taken with my husband. It was so active, and then the food scene was amazing. So you can, get tired in the morning, explore on a mountain bike, hiking, walking, and at night they have a wonderful, wonderful restaurants. You can go get a drink, enjoy your hotel. So that's definitely one place I would recommend if you're an active couple. As a family, we have been obviously to like Orlando and Disney. My kids absolutely love being there. But you don't have to go to Disney. You can go to any hotel with a pool or the beach. Your kids would love it. I think it's easier with the kids to pick a destination.
Okay, well, then now let's talk about how easy it is to have a family and a job and to blog, right? Super easy, right, Alena?
So easy. not easy at all. So I started my blog. I think I'm coming up on 1-year anniversary, and I was so inspired by a number of my friends who are doing blogs, and I thought, I can do this. People always call and ask, and for like advice, and you get text after our trips, and I thought, I'll start a blog. I'll put everything in one space where everybody who needs to know about what we're doing can go and read there. To be honest with you, it's been a little bit more of a learning curve than I anticipated, even though I would say pretty, a dedicated person to like learning new things. But it has been a big learning curve. So I would say that I've put out a couple blogs out there, maybe not as many as I would like. But you can always start again, and I think maybe we'll try that route again via blogging. But majority of my adventures and my write-ups are on my Instagram right now.
So is your blog more itineraries, like travel itineraries and recommendations or reviews, or is it more stories? Kind of share with us what we would find if we went to go check it out.
Yeah, so I just basically write up about sort of our itinerary, what we loved about a certain hotel or restaurant, what dish to get in the restaurant if you were to go there. And it's basically just based on what we experienced and how we kind of structured our trip. So like, what time of the day we flew out of Minneapolis, what time we got there, if we stayed close to the airport, or if we decided to like drive out and stay closer to like the destination. So that's kind of what I focus on. When we went to Disney, my blog post was about what I wish I brought to Disney, because I feel like there's so many Disney itineraries and blogs out there, and then you get to Disney, you're like, I wish I had a hat, I wish I had a jacket, I wish I had like a water bottle, and then so I wrote up a blog basically saying I am not a Disney expert, but based on my personal experience, those are the things I wish I brought as a mom. I think it's kind of random based on the experience at that particular destination.
Rain poncho. That's what you need to add to your list when you go to
Rain
Disney.
poncho, absolutely. We went in January thinking it was going to be like warm, and I brought shorts and t-shirts. My daughter was not appropriately dressed, and I wished I didn't have to spend like hundreds of dollars buying new attire in a Disney park. So,
yeah.
That's okay. That reminds me, one time when I was in Costa Rica with my son, and he had set his flip-flops. We were in this little town way off the beaten path. Awesome town. So awesome. I'm not going to even mention it because I don't want anybody else to go there. But it was beautiful place, a lot of surfing type things. And so the surf was amazing and the waves were aggressive. But suffice it to say, he lost his flip-flops because the wave came, took them from wherever he had set them down, and it take the flip-flops away. And no big deal, right? You just go to the store and get more flip-flops. But in a place that isolated, similar to Disney, in a place that isolated, I think the flip-flops were like $80, something like that. And so maybe bring an extra pair. That'd be
Yes.
Yeah.
You live and you learn.
You do.
live and
You do.
you do. And then
My
you learn again.
Yeah. My experience was that it was raining so hard that our shoes became soaking wet. I think there were like 3 inches of rain on the ground at one point as we were trying to slosh through. And then it suddenly stopped. The sun came out. It was a beautiful day, but it was so uncomfortable walking around with the wet shoes that we were trying to find flip-flops, same type of thing. Like the Mickey flip-flops and everything else, like all those things we weren't anticipating. And now when we go to Disney, I almost feel like we're going on a camping trip because we have a backpack full of like the blanket to put down on the ground when you watch the fireworks and the extra hoodie. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy. So,
but speaking about Costa Rica, going back to the question about where you should go as a family with the kids, we took the kids to Costa Rica when my little guy was like 6 months and my daughter was maybe like 3.5. And it was a perfect destination for a family. We absolutely loved it. And I know Costa Rica is known for like jungle adventures and zip lining and ATVing, but we had an absolute blast and I would highly recommend going there as a family with little kids.
Is it as awesome as Minnesota?
I love Minnesota. I had a love-hate relationship with Minnesota for a while because I moved to Minnesota with my husband, now husband, but back in 2011, he said, Minnesota is not that cold. And gullible 26-year-old me believed it. So when we first moved here, I really struggled with like embracing the winter and just being here. But now almost like 8 years later now, I absolutely love it. Summers are amazing. There's a lot of stuff to do outdoors. And I'm finally embracing winter. So I'm like fat tire biking, cross-country skiing. There's so many things to see here and do like all 4 seasons year round. So it's been awesome. And yeah, I think we're staying here for a while.
And where did you move from? Tell us a little bit about your backstory.
Oh, where should I begin? So I moved to Minnesota from Philadelphia, but as you can tell by my exotic accent, I am not native to the United States. So I actually moved from Belarus when I was 18. I moved here by myself. So I just, told my mom and dad that I wanted to go to the United States for one summer because I was in college. Convinced my parents to help me with the money for the visa, and my relatives all chipped in because we didn't grow up having like a lot of money. And when I came here, I didn't have a job. I didn't have a place to go. I landed in GFK. I was 18 and I was like, okay, now what? Like everybody speaks English and so do I, but I'm not special anymore because in Belarus you speak English. People are like, wow, you speak English. You come to the United States and you have to kind of figure out your new kind of path. So yeah, after a summer of working in United States, I worked in Wildwood, New Jersey. I decided that I'm not going back. So I called my mom and dad and I said, I'm dropping out of college and I'm staying here. And even if I have to be a waitress for the rest of my life, I will make more money doing that than my mom was doing teaching, and I was going to school to be an English teacher. I got very lucky because one day I literally was sitting on a curb and crying because I was having issues with my paperwork and Social Security. And this wonderful soul, beautiful lady just was driving by. She pulled over and she said, get in my car. Get in my car, get in. Why are you crying? I'm going to help you. And I looked at her and I was like, I don't know if I should be getting into your car. This is weird. And she said, I have a boy in the car. He's a little boy. I'm a mom. You're crying. I'm going to help you. And yeah, she did. She took me in. She took me to Panera Bread, which I thought was the most exotic restaurant I've ever been to. we started chatting. I told her about my plan to stay in the United States and to kind of figure out where I'm going to work, and I want to go to school. And she said, why don't you move in with me? Like right almost on the spot. She said, I feel like I met my soulmate. I like picked you up on the curb, and I think you should come and stay with us. And I was a little hesitant for like a couple of weeks, but she, kept at me, and she kept coming to my restaurant where I was working and kept asking. And I said, okay, fine, I'll move in with you. And so now she's my American mom. Her name is Linda. And, her kids, Brenna, Nick, and Anthony, are my American family. So I wasn't like legally adopted, but I was taken in and sort of, she helped me. Like she had a big influence on my life and helped me with kind of figuring out my career path. And, just she was a wonderful person that I think turned my life for the better. So the stars aligned. And I went to school in Philadelphia, and now I live in Minnesota. Long story short.
Well, Alena, obviously you love it here. Your family's here, and I know from some of the things that you've written that you love this country. So I'd love to have you comment on that. I mean, why you love this country, and for whatever reason that you have that love. And then, though, I also want you to comment on what you love about Belarus and perhaps what you miss. So sort of a two-part question.
Yeah. So I'll start with why I love living here. I truly find that, United States, America, is that melting pot. And I love seeing different cultures and people with different backgrounds come together, become friends. You meet so many different people, and everybody has a story, and a very unique story at work. When you travel, you meet people, and people come here for the most part to like seek a better future. And I think it's a land of opportunity. It truly is. I now, I'm pretty successful in my career. I have a lot of friends. Like I'm proud of my accomplishments, and a lot of those things were like impossible growing up in Belarus. I love it. I just think like the way people treat each other here is different. I don't know, like just so many opportunities, even like for my kids. Like I didn't have an option growing up to play sports. Like the only sports girls could play was was dance. Like you didn't play soccer. Like it wasn't an option for girls. And so now like watching my kids do gymnastics and dance and, soccer, hockey, like you name it, like it's unlimited kind of opportunities for whether you're a girl or a boy, like whatever you want to do, like grown up, a kid, like even as a grown up, you can find so many different like things to develop yourself, grow, learn new things. It's a little bit different from like where I come from, and the mentality is also different. Like your mom or your wife, and you get your career, and if you didn't grow up in a fortunate like wealthy family or even middle class family, you kind of just like follow the path of your parents, and you stay in your small village. And so I absolutely love it here. Some of my siblings, most of my siblings now live here in the United States. I still have one sister in Belarus, and it's been so like wonderful to watch them like grow and explore and just be successful here and having all those opportunities. I do miss my country though. I grew up differently in a small village, being out in the nature and doing a lot of exploring. And I kind of wish my kids had a little bit more of that, where you like live with the chickens and the cows and the pigs, and you go farming. I also think people in Belarus are very like family oriented, and I can see that in some of families here in the United States. But I feel like we're very like family like centric and focused in Belarus. Like my mom lives with me right now. I think she will live with me forever. Like nobody's really looking to like move out when they're 18, and we keep our parents close, and we take care of our mom and dads when they get older. And I'm not saying that that's not happening in the United States, but it's a bigger part of our culture in Belarus to like take care of our parents as like we grow up. So I'm very lucky and grateful that I'm able to give my mom the life that she has now here in the United States. But I do miss like that family bond and like big dinners that we used to have. And like you cook for a family of like 25 and 30, like you don't pre-order anything. Everything is like made from scratch and from your garden, and everybody comes together and sits at a one big table. There's like no buffets. Like you don't dish up and go sit in a different room. It's like all the food is on one table. Everybody sits around the table, and everybody participates in like cooking, and you don't like pre-order from, like you don't do catering. Like that's just like not a thing.
I can't help but think as you're talking, because my kids are in all these activities and such as well, and then work and such. And you spend so much time with those activities, and dinner becomes something that you kind of squeeze in, right? Between hockey and soccer and whatever it is. And when you're living in a smaller town or a culture that doesn't have those opportunities, then you focus more on gardening and cooking and spending time with family. It's kind of like that balance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Absolutely. You know, I live in the suburbs of the Twin Cities, and I feel like a lot of adventures over the last couple of weeks and going forward are a little bit on pause because my daughter is going to go into kindergarten, and then every night it's something, like it's gymnastics or swimming or soccer or you know, you name it. There's somewhere to rush out after work and out of the door, and then dinner is like you grab and go. So we try as a family to have a like sit down dinner every Monday. I know it's like a weird day, but my husband has 2 kids. So I have 2 stepchildren. One of them is now in college, but before he went to college this year, they would come over on Mondays, and we made it a point to like cook together and eat dinner together and sit down around the table and kind of share about our week or our day. And that was like one of my favorite days of the week is Monday, where like we can all be together at a dinner table.
I do have a follow-up question on that. So do you cook traditional Belarus food? Do you still create those meals?
My mom does. I need to learn more, but we've been so spoiled with like my actual like Belarusian mom, like my mom living with me here, not my American mom. Yeah, she's been like spoiling us. Like she cooks us lunch, she cooks us dinner. A lot of times she's amazing. But I find that my friends ask me like a lot of times, like, can you make borscht? And I go home and I say, Mom, can you make borscht? So I can share with my friends. That just actually recently happened, like this week. So yeah, once in a while you crave that like authentic Russian food, and so I ask my mom.
Okay, it's time now for a quiz. Alena, you ready for this quiz? Okay. Yes or no answers.
Okay.
Do you know how to ski?
Yes.
Do you know how to snowboard?
Yes.
Do you know how to swim?
Yes.
Do you know how to wake surf?
Yes.
Do you know how to scuba dive?
Yes.
All right, you're 5 for 5, and quite adventurous, which is why you can look her up online, Instagram, Adventuring Alena on Instagram. Well, but what's next? Okay, so if you've got all those things, well, first of all, tell us what was the experience like learning to do those things, and then what's next? I mean, that's quite a list. If you're still thinking of adding to it, you got to let us know what on earth would be added to a list like that.
So interestingly, I did not know how to do any of those things before I came to the United States. And under the influence of awesome friends in college, I started skiing and snowboarding. I feel like as an adult learning those sports is a little bit harder than as a kid, because when you fall, it actually hurts. Because you're not 2 feet away from the ground, you're like 5.5 feet from the ground. So it was a painful experience, but when you have awesome friends and you want to keep up, you learn. And then when I met my husband, he was a scuba diver. So then I went on Groupon and looked up introduction to scuba diving. And luckily for me, Scubadelphia in Philadelphia was offering those like Groupon classes. And I met a like I went in and I was hooked. I don't think I was hooked by scuba diving. I was hooked by like socializing with people that were teaching scuba diving. So then I signed up for like extra classes, and here I am, an advanced scuba diver, and we've taken a number of awesome scuba diving trips in the Galapagos and Socorro Islands. It's been awesome. Yeah, just recently picked up mountain biking. My friend just randomly asked me if I wanted to go mountain biking, and I said I don't know how to do it. I grabbed my stepson's bike and I went mountain biking, and then I went to Moab. So from like a local hill to a Moab, and it was awesome. And now I'm into mountain biking. And then I was thinking, like, what is like the numbers one sport that you can play like no matter where you go? Do you want to guess what it is?
Hiking.
Oh,
Hiking, yes.
hiking. Okay, sport.
It's a sport. It's a sport that you would like have to learn how to play.
And would you, is this a sport that you play with? Is it a team sport?
It could be a solo sport, or it could be, I'll just tell you. So I decided that I want to learn golf. Because no matter where you go, there's always a golf course, no matter what state you're in, what country you're in. So as of right now, I am actively taking golf lessons so I can actually play golf with my husband when we go on couples vacations, because he always wants to go. And that's the only thing right now that we do not do together, because I do not know how.
All right. So Adam's going to talk golf with you for a while and brag about his golf game. So I'll just be over here.
All right. We'll see you. All right. We got Zanne. All right, let's see. Come back, Zanne. Okay, I got everybody's back in the right order. So yeah, golf. All right, what is the hardest part about golf? I mean, golf is difficult, and I think anybody who doesn't play golf, I mean, you might look at it and think, how hard can that be? But if you have tried to do it, it is not easy.
It's not.
It is, and it's the kind of thing. It's great if you're like self-competitive and you drive yourself to do better and better, because it isn't easy. And you can go out and you can have a great day and think, hey, you're doing pretty good. And then the next time you play, you're like, okay, I am terrible. But hardest part,
I think. Okay, well, right now the hardest part is like hitting the ball without like actually missing the ball for me. That's why I'm taking lessons.
Okay.
But I think overall the hardest part is to find the time to do it. As a busy family, it's not easy to like go out there for like 2 hours and play 9 holes. So like whatever you learn in your lesson, you have to continue practicing to get good at it. And I think right now it's the hardest part is the continuous improvement and building on what you learn. You're not going to learn golf if you only go like once in the blue moon.
Yeah, that's fair. And that's really a great business model for those golf courses, because, we've been playing a lot of golf in the last year. So, and I play with my brother, my son. When the three of us will go out, we'll get somebody else to have the foursome to go. And I mean, it's a lot of fun. We've really enjoyed it. And you're reminding me I need to make a tee time for this weekend.
Yeah.
But it is a very tough sport, and it is the kind of thing you have to practice and keep practicing. So, like I've heard it said, the key to golf is more golf.
Yeah, absolutely. And good clubs.
Good clubs and patience.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of patience. Okay.
My
so
favorite thing about golf is when you hit it through the windmill and then it goes in the hole and it plays all the music. That's my favorite part.
Is it like mini golf? I don't even know.
Yeah, that's good.
It's my speed.
That's good. That's hole 19. Okay, so you like to go on these trips, you choose different trips, and you like this impromptu nature, but do you prefer? I don't know. Do you prefer to go on a trip where you can kind of chill a little bit, or do you like to go on a trip where you're going to have some kind of activity and it's going to feel like an adventure? What's your preference, or maybe just how do you plan a trip with one of those two objectives in mind?
Yeah, I think my number one preference is definitely activity. I am not one of those people who can like sit still and chill on a beach chair for like a week straight. Um, it's not always easy to adventure with the kids, obviously, but we try to do it as much as we can when we take them, like which is like age appropriate activities. So I wouldn't say like some of our trips were like extremely adventurous because we can only take them on like a mile long hike. But no matter where we go, we try to find like an activity that like moves your body. So we actually planning on going to Utah, to Park City, and we've been looking up some of the things that would be appropriate for a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old. Just trying to get them to love adventuring and love going places and exploring the nature, like whatever it might be. But it was a mind shift for me at some point, I think, because I feel like when I was in my 20s, for some reason, it was the opposite. Like I really loved to like go out with my friends and just like chill, like sit and drink and socialize and talk. I don't know if I'm growing up and, all of a sudden trying to learn more things about people and culture and destinations. So definitely adventuring 100% of the time, no matter where we go, with an occasional day of relaxation.
So my girlfriend Lindsay, I know, is watching this show, and we talk all the time. She just turned 30 last week. She's actually in Hawaii right now. Has been married for a year, and they're always having this discussion. I want to travel. When do I have kids? How do I travel with kids? What should I do? If you had some advice for her, what would you share?
Great question. I think that's one of my most frequently asked questions, because people always say, like, I'm afraid to bring my kids. They're going to be a terror on an airplane. I don't want to pack all these things. And my personal experience and advice is that you have to start as early as you have kids, whether like they're babies. Just go out there. Don't be afraid. You would be surprised about how many people actually like embrace families with kids. I think it's a sort of a misconception that people like roll their eyes at you on the airplane. There have been so many times I was traveling with my babies, and they're willing to hold your kids and play with them. And so my number one advice is the earlier the better, because they will get used to travel and they will know what to expect, and it will not be like a big sort of shift from being cuddled in their homes and all of a sudden getting into the new environment. Like my son always says, like, I want to go to the airport. I want to go on an airplane. And when they do get to like the airport, they already know like they have to sit in their seat and they have a buckle and there will be snack time like eventually. And I think because they've been flying since they've been babies, I think my daughter was like 6 months when she first flew and my son was 6 weeks. Now they're pros and they're only 2 and 5. So the earlier you begin, the better. The other thing is like, obviously try to plan kid appropriate like destinations and try to plan somewhere where everybody will have fun. You don't want to take a 6 months old to like Moab mountain biking, like that will not be fun. But you can go to other places where it will be easy to take care of the baby and get around with the baby. So I think you just have to be thoughtful about where you go. Like, I mean, they can still be spontaneous. We're kind of spontaneous, like, hey, let's go to Costa Rica with 2 kids. And I mean, overpack, bring more stuff than you think you need, because you will need it. More clothes, more snacks, more entertainment. Think about every possible game you can play on the airplane and a 3 or 4 hour plane ride. Just do it and don't be afraid that somebody will judge you or like not be happy that you're sitting right next to them with kids. Do it for you, do it for your family, and just have great attitude about it and start early.
Alena, what is next? Any big trips, family trips, solo trips? What are you guys thinking of is next on the agenda?
Yeah, totally random agenda that got shaped up over the last couple of weeks. decided to go to Park City, Utah, spontaneously. Just the flights were cheap, and we're able to get like a cheap hotel for a week. So decided to take the kids there. So we're just gonna go hike, explore. Then we got randomly invited to celebrate our friend's 50th birthday while scuba diving in Key Largo. Obviously couldn't pass that. Couldn't say no to that. So going there. Going to Orlando for MEA. I don't know if other states have MEA, but it's like a fall break where you get a long weekend. Just we'll take kids to the beach, and I think there's a airspace place. I don't even know. I haven't even looked it up. That's how spontaneous I am. I heard about it. I will look it up when we get there. But somewhere in Orlando, there's a space center, and my little guy is obsessed with spaceships and rockets. And so I just booked that just randomly. And just kind of all over the place.
I picture a night at your house, Alena, with like a giant, what do you call it? Dartboard, right? And you just have all these different places, and you just start throwing darts to figure out where you're going to go.
Yeah, you know how it usually works? It's like kids go to bed, then we're sitting at home on a couch, like watching something. I'm browsing Instagram, and then I'll see somebody like go into like Sequoia National Park. And I'm like, hey, you want to go to Sequoia National Park? Like, let's look at flights. And then next thing I know, within like 20 minutes, I'm like, we're booked. And my husband's like, are you serious? I'm like, yes, we're going. It looks cool.
That's pretty much how I work too, to be honest with you.
I know. I saw you went to California on, like you had like a wine drinking trip. So now I'm looking that up as a potential destination. So yeah, I'm easily influenced by what people post on Instagram. So like I don't have like a bucket list. I'm just like, oh, this looks good. Like, let's go.
Definitely check out Fairfield. It's like 10 miles outside of Napa without the Napa cost and prices, but you still get the full atmosphere, the wine tasting. It was a lot of fun.
Okay, so here we go. I'll be booking it as we.
Well, Alena, you have a beautiful family.
You
have a great story. It's great to hear the wonderful things about Belarus and the food and the culture and the family ties. And then it's also great to hear the great things about the U.S. and our country here, and the things that you like about it. And it's a very moving story. We talked about it, and it's entertaining to think about. I think you said you were sitting on the curb or something crying, and then someone comes along, and the woman came along to just be there for you, and there was she knew that she could help, she could be there for you, and she was. And then here you are all these years later, and you guys are family. So I don't know, it's a great story. You're an inspiring person. You got these great gifts in terms of being a traveler and knowing how to wing it and enjoy life. And that is so important. So important. We get busy. We have responsibilities. They're real. They're things we got to do. But we got to stop. We got to do some things that are spontaneous. We got to go to a destination that's impromptu and enjoy it and take it all in. So everybody be sure you get to know her Instagram. Her Instagram handle is Adventuring Alena. Adventuring Alena on Instagram. And then you can check out her blog and get to know her a little bit better as well online at impromptudestination.com.
Yeah. There's more to life. That's what I always say. And just you're taking advantage of it. And I think you're probably inspiring a lot of people. As soon as they finish watching this, they're going to go online and start looking at where they can book a trip to next, just spontaneously. So thank you for giving all of us that gift.
And we'll know that when there's a travel boom and that the airlines sell all these new tickets, we'll know it was us. Right here on this show.
Yep.
Well, thanks, Alena. You are an inspiration, and getting to know you has been awesome today. Have a great Saturday. Go hug that family and tell everybody we said hello.
All right. Thank you so much for having me. Nice to be here and speak with you guys today.
Yeah. It's nice to finally meet you face to face, so to speak.
I know.
Yeah. And join us again next week when we have another fantastic guest. Friends Talking Travel right here on Wander to the Edge.